You're about to tap into the digital marketing strategies that separate thriving law firms from the ones struggling to keep up. Join James Campbell as we break down the roadblocks holding your practice back and reveal the insider tactics attorneys are using to scale past 7 figures. From cutting-edge digital marketing tips to exclusive interviews with industry leaders, we're giving you the playbook to attract higher-quality clients, dominate your market, and build a firm that runs like a growth machine. Your next breakthrough starts now. This is the Marketing Lawcast.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Lawcast. I'm James Campbell, your host, and I'm thrilled to welcome our guest, Amy Hsiao. Amy is the founder of Hsiao Law with a mission to help families avoid collapse after the death or disability of a loved one. After experiencing firsthand how traditional estate planning sort of failed her own family, Amy set out to build a firm that truly serves growing families, offering a flat rate pricing model, ongoing support, and plans that actually work when they're needed. Okay, we'll talk about how she built a client-centered practice, the challenges that she's overcome along the way, and her experience of working with IMS in her pursuit of growth. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you on the show and appreciate you spending the time with us today. And we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. We want to help listeners learn more about you and about your practice. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about your background and what sort of inspired you to start your estate planning firm.
Yeah, so I am actually originally from Taiwan, and I came to San Diego, California for law school. And after that, I went to law school wanting to do intellectual property law because that's my background, doing trademark, litigation, and all that kind of thing. And I did work in a big law firm in IP for a while. But the reason why I wanted to start an estate planning law firm had to do with my family. At that time, I was pregnant with my son, and I was just trying to figure out a better way to practice law because in the big law firm that I was working at, I was working nonstop, like 80 hours a week, and it just was not sustainable for me at that time. So I was trying to figure out exploring different practice areas, and then I just stumbled upon estate planning as a practice area. And there was this personal family lawyer, new law business model that I started looking into, and that really piqued my interest. And that just kind of opened up my horizon, and I decided eventually to go into this practice area.
Very good. So it sort of came about naturally for you, you would say.
I would say after some reflection, specifically on the type of lifestyle I want as an attorney, I just didn't want to end up in a rat race of just working and working and working and not having a quality of life and losing my family. From very early on, I knew that that's not what I want for my life. And it became pretty clear to me after working in a big law firm for a year and also being pregnant with my son. And then I just looked into talk to different people about different areas of law. And estate planning seems to be, at that time, I didn't know much about estate planning, but after talking to a lot of people, it feels like a practice area that I can really enjoy and I can feel good about what I do. And it also fits my personality. I like to help people prevent litigation rather than at the end. So I love just the concept of helping families plan in advance so they can be in the best position possible. And in my own family, my cousin has special needs, and, long story short, he at his 30s, he got into a car accident and became totally disabled, and his mental state became only 5 years old. And my aunt having to spend so much time and just all the energy, spend money on taking care of my cousin. And it really gave me a lot of reflection on what can I do as an attorney to help my family and the people around me. And at that time, I was also working in the conservatorship court locally here in San Diego, and it just gave me a lot of perspective. And then I just had this realization, this is the practice area I want to devote my life to, estate planning with specialty and special needs planning, and elder law practice. So that's the long story short.
Yeah, I love that. You have a mission. It seems that you have a mission to keep families out of court and out of conflict. I see that throughout your marketing, and I hear you talk about helping people avoid that litigious aspect of life. Can you walk us through what that means in real life terms for your clients? Like, for example, to stay out of court and out of conflict. What's that mean to you?
Yeah. So out of court, out of conflict really means an estate plan that's well set up. 80% of the estate plans that I have reviewed that came into my office, whether it's by, LegalZoom or whatever platform it is, almost all of them, 80% I would say, fail to some degree because either their assets are not properly put in the trust, and then maybe they go to an attorney and they set up this fancy trust. They maybe spend thousands of dollars setting it up even. But life evolves and maybe they bought a new house. They never put the house into their trust, or maybe they created some bank accounts. Or maybe the husband just has some bank accounts under his name, never bothered to put it in their joint trust, or never bothered to add the spouse's name on it, and then he passed away. And then all of a sudden there's this dispute about whether that's the husband's separate property or community property, where the surviving spouse should have it. All of that leads to court. And maybe as innocent as if somebody, like maybe a father, really planning for his son, like a 12-year-old boy, and bought a life insurance and put the 12-year-old's name on the beneficiary of the life insurance policy. And that's a guarantee for court. And because the minor child cannot take that asset. And so all of this nuance, it happens so often that so many people overlook. And I just, in my planning sessions, I really go into the different types of assets to advise them. Okay, you got to do this, and we have a process in place where we begin with identifying what they need to do, and then in the middle we check in, and then at the end of it they walk away with a fully funded trust report. And so that's what I mean by really helping the estate plans and the clients out of court and out of conflict, because having the document itself is not enough. We all know the probate court exists, not because people don't have wills or trusts, because there's tons of wills or trusts that are either improperly drafted, or maybe there are some conflicting language, all sorts of reasons that end up in court. And so having that awareness and giving the clients the proper advice and having a follow through system, sort of like, a family care system, so that you can be there with the client live, become a personal family lawyer for the client, like a family doctor concept, so that the client can have that peace of mind knowing that no matter what happens, no matter how old their kids are, no matter if they're married, they're single, their assets will always be protected. They will never end up in court. So that's the real motivation of me doing the work that I do, and me creating the system that I have. It is truly so nobody has to go to court.
Well, I think we're going to get into some of those challenges that comes along creating that, but I think it starts with the intentionality of wanting to help serve families and not just be a transactional law firm that sells trusts. I know a lot of firms that do that, where they just hand an instruction letter and say, well, I did my part, I created the trust. And it sounds like your firm goes above and beyond to make sure that the family stays out of court and out of conflict, as your mission states.
Yes, and because we also, a part of our practice is trust administration and probate. We do probate administration as well. So we see from the back end of how an estate plan is actually administered, right? And so that really gives me perspective, because oftentimes in trust administration, the more well-funded a trust is, the easier it is for trust administration. And so I bring all of that experience to my estate planning clients. And I'm like, hey, I know this is tedious when we're talking through, you got to go to the bank and retitle the bank accounts to the trust. That's going to change account numbers. And some people don't like that. They're going to have to update all of their utility bills and all of that. They don't like that. But like, I just have to go through line by line. We create this family wealth inventory where we have every account number listed, and then I give them my funding recommendation. And every time we meet throughout the whole planning process, we go through each one of them. I like to guilt trip my clients. I'm like, oh, did you do this yet? Did you do this? And then at the end of it, most of them, all of them, I would say, were able to complete their funding, so to speak. And we do have funding support in our firm. We have a dedicated funding coordinator. And so if the client is dragging their feet by the second meeting, they still haven't gotten the funding done, then I would really recommend that they hire us. We have a dedicated funding coordinator to help them specifically. That's all he does all day, is to help people fill out that beneficiary form, fill out the bank forms to get everything ready so that the client can complete their funding.
Yeah, I think it's such a benefit to have that funding pro on your team because people don't want to make a mistake. And it's better to go ahead and spend the money with a funding pro to make sure that it's done. If you have any trepidation about getting it done whatsoever, it's better to have that trust properly funded. Amy, your firm clearly is focused on growing families, not just, you do help seniors and retirees and you do the long-term care stuff, but you have sort of a soft spot in your practice for the growing families. Why is this demographic so important to you, and how do you sort of tailor your services for their unique needs? What do you do for those folks?
I mean, from a personal level, I'm a mom, and when I set up my practice, I was pregnant, and then I had my baby, and so it was just very easy for me to talk to other moms. I belong to several moms group and a prenatal yoga. We just did a lot of mom stuff, and so for me, it was just very easy and natural, and I relate to other moms so easily, and have play days and all of that. So that's how I started. And as my son grows with his different age developments, I connect with different age groups, moms with different age kids, and it just is natural. And I find it's such an underserved demographic because I feel that parents are so busy, I mean, myself included, with the day in and day out, that they forget that we got to guard what we have, in the sense that we have to protect our assets, our hard-earned monies. We are working so hard to provide for our little ones. Yet if something happened to us, if we get sick, if we get into a car accident, and then we're no longer here, who's there to provide for our little ones? Nobody. We are the ones. Mm-hmm. And so how can we ensure, and how can it I just wanted to make it easy for parents, because I know it's so difficult. For me to even do anything outside of work, it's hard, right? So I wanted to intentionally create a system so that it's easy for parents, it's very relatable, and oftentimes we have moms who come to us, because moms tend to sometimes be the ones thinking about these kind of things. Mm-hmm. And so I want to make it very easy to understand, relatable, and that it's a very systematic process so that they get it done. And so, and I can really come from a mom's perspective and really coach my clients through this process and helping them to see the consequence of them not doing it properly. Because a lot of the times, people would ask me, oh, I could just do this, I could just create a will myself or whatnot. And I have to tell them, hey, this is the consequence of not doing it properly. And I even my godmom, she created her own estate plan with this law firm. And then, I was still in law school back then when she created this. And now she passed away a few years ago. And now I'm helping her family, going to court, doing some probate work and doing some trust administration work for her estate. And so I just can't emphasize how important it is, especially for parents, to really get this thing correctly done so that they can have that peace of mind, knowing that everything that they work so hard for is properly protected.
Yeah, and that you're going to be there for them throughout. Like, it's not just a transaction thing, but now you're their resource. You're their person that they're going to turn to when they have questions, concerns, or any updates or changes in life. You're there.
Yeah. And I really position myself to be a personal family lawyer, because I think it's just so important. I feel life changes and people just have different assets, or maybe they sell assets, their kids grow up. And so we send out constant reminders to the clients based on the different milestones. Like when kids turn 18, we say, hey, come to us. We have a birthday present for you. Like celebrate your 18th with us. We give them the power of attorney, the healthcare, power of attorney, HIPAA, advanced healthcare director for their 18-year-olds. And then so things like that. And we have a family care VIP program where when people join our VIP program, then we meet with them every year. We do a periodic review every year. And when we do the periodic review, we look at their assets and talk to them about life, what's going on. And, that's how we keep in touch. And I find that to be the best way to help my clients, because I don't want them to just go off and 10 years later, 20 years later, then all of a sudden the children came to me and realizing, some of these assets are still out of the trust. And it may not be the attorney's fault. It may be that the client just go out and about and on with their days and never come back and talk to the attorney again. So I want it to be a systematic approach so that the client can be reminded to come back and talk to the attorney. We always have click the button here to schedule your complimentary phone call with Attorney Amy, things like that.
Yeah, I love it. When you talk about these services that you provide, and it sounds like above and beyond compared to your traditional law firm. So building a law firm that sort of challenges that traditional model, that can't be easy. What are some of the biggest obstacles that you faced in making this vision of your firm a reality?
Yeah, so I was very lucky to be part of the New Law Business Model Personal Family Lawyer program, and they really, I would say, were instrumental when I first started my firm, because they had Ali, the founder, is a very hard-based attorney. And so when she created the system, I was able to kind of hop on the wagon and join their this whole program. And that really helped me structure my whole process. It also got me into thinking more long-term of how I want to serve my clients instead of just, crunching out a bunch of paperwork, right? Very early on, I was lucky to have met some mentors, and they told me the last thing you want to do is to create a bunch of documents. And so I'm very grateful to have heard that very early on when I started my estate planning practice. And so they told me, the mentors that I have kind of talked to at the beginning, they said, because once you go down the document route, you're going to be competing with the machines. And with AI booming now, everybody, so the human element is the key to the sustainability of the practice. And even me, even as I'm talking about the family care program, even though it's different from the traditional model, but what I have found is that people really want that. They want having somebody that they can trust, that they can lean on for a lifetime. Because I'm even myself, even when I'm looking for different services, I prefer the niche services that I can trust long term, not just some cheap product from whatever.
Right.
And so what I have found, even though it's different from what the traditional model is, it's actually lacking and much needed and much in demand in the market. And once you have those, and the clients, you may not attract every client, but the client that you attract are good clients. They are the ones that love and adore you. They want to be with you long term, and they're willing to pay, the annual membership fee to be with you. And that just is so invaluable to me. And as I am creating my own, it's really important to me that my law firm is in alignment with my personal lifestyle. And as I am focusing on the quality of life for myself and my family, I want good quality clients too for my client, for my practice. And so even though it's different from the traditional model, I find it's worked, just perfectly for me.
Yeah. Especially if you have that care for your clients. And I think a lot of estate planning attorneys do care about their clients, but they see that extra layer of service as being too difficult to provide. And so you're saying that maybe plugging in with a place that has some of that stuff figured out, maybe has a roadmap of sorts to help you see that it's not impossible, it's not overwhelming, it just requires these certain things to be done and to follow through. Would that be fair?
Yes, it definitely takes a system. And it definitely took me a while to just get all the system in place. And the system doesn't stop there, right? You're like, for me, every day I'm looking at my system. Every week we have our team meeting. Every month we have our case cleanup meeting, right? So it takes maintenance, it takes the build up, it takes the maintenance and refinement. And then also I've gone through different types of membership programs over the years. I've gone with the three different type pricing model to one pricing model. So anyways, what I'm saying is it's also part of it is also an experiment. As an entrepreneur, you're trying things out, kind of trial and error and seeing what sticks and what works better for clients. And I also want to really be able to provide as much value as possible to my clients without eating away too much of my time, right? So I want my time as an attorney to be spent on the highest leverage tasks, like items like marketing and also speaking with my clients, giving the legal advice that they need. And so I have to structure it so that I can hand off a lot of that maintenance of the VIP to my assistant. So I have a team who does all of that for me. And then we build automated systems to remind people through emails and all of that. You cannot possibly do it all by yourself. That's just not possible.
Yeah, I love that. So it's taking the bull by the horns, but not being a one man army, right? You have to
No,
recruit and delegate and know what things move the needle the most and focus your attention on those.
Exactly.
You've been working with us with Integrity Marketing for a little over a year now. Can you share with the audience what made you decide to work with us in the first place? What was sort of the kicker moment for you?
Yeah, and and it took me a while to decide. So I was one of those painful prospects. But the reason why that I finally made this switch, or at the beginning, I was working with Victoria. I was at a point in my practice where I wanted to position my practice for sale one day. I wanted to be able to sell my law firm 5 years or 10 years from now. I just wanted to step back from my practice, and I started homeschooling my son like a couple years before. So I wanted to be able to just work 4 hours a day. And so I was trying to figure out, and I got also kind of tired of my previous marketing company because I felt like it just felt very transactional with each and every marketing event, like every webinar, there's a marketing spend. It's like very event oriented. And when I was talking with my coach on how to set my practice for sale later, she mentioned something that was really crucial in my decision making. She said, you want to be building assets, right? And so your website is your asset. My website is my website. And all this marketing effort, they should also become an asset, not just a transaction thing. Like if you spend money, then it works. If you don't spend money, then it doesn't work. And so that was really the key in me looking at, when I was talking with IMS, making that final decision, is I was able to see how your services can help my website become a self-generating asset. And so one day if I step out of the firm, this website is valuable. Like I have data to show how many more leads are coming in. Like I love the data, and that was what was lacking in the previous. I had worked with previous multiple marketing law firms, and they just tended to be more transactional, and I was never able to get a handle of everything. And I really wanted to have just a central, like a dashboard of a place where I know what's going on with each and every pipeline that I'm doing. Like what is the ROI of this particular, like webinar or this particular lead generation magnet, like a ebook, right? I want to see the numbers. I want to be able to make that CEO decision on how much more money should I spend on this and that. And, so that was the key in making that the transition to IMS.
Yeah, great. And that's sort of the outlook that we have is work on this to build it right, to build the brand and have it be a self-perpetuating asset. So it's like building a flywheel, kind of hard to get going at first as we're ironing out all those details, working through all the automations. But once it's running, it's supposed to run. Do you see what I mean? Without a lot of effort on
Yes,
thinking it anymore. What could you say has
exactly.
changed in your practice over the last year since partnering with us? Is it visibility, client quality, growth? Kind of outline what
Oh, yeah.
changes you've seen.
So, so definitely financial growth of 20% of revenue and gross revenue immediately, like in the last year. I do, I have my own internal financial monitoring and we saw that immediately. So that's pretty concrete. And then when I dived into the reasons why, I think it's because with the marketing, we increased the exposure and it's really funny to me because with just even last year, I had a marketing company work on my social media engagement and I had a lot of exposure. People were coming to me, they like my posts. They were like, oh, your son is so cute. And a lot of social media engagement, but not a lot of conversion. And that last year I worked with IMS, we didn't actually do a lot of like none of that social media engagement, yet our revenue went up 20%. And so I was looking at, okay, and we were, Amber and I were looking at the dashboard. Okay, what was the reason? Is because we added that, something you did on my website and we increased that, intake phone call. The more people are booking the 15-minute phone calls. And so Nico, my assistant, all these 15-minute phone calls just pop up on his calendar. All he had to do was simply call those people. They just pop up. And whereas previously he would have to like manually, painstakingly call people, like cold calling people. Whereas over the last year, we've seen those calls just come in without us having to do anything. So definitely,
Yeah,
I think that's
that's a
probably
great
why.
point. And I'll give a little bit of insight because our viewers or listeners might think, well, how the heck does that happen, right? Well,
You tell
if the exposure, if the social media engagement was not as robust as these other campaigns, but the conversions were extraordinarily higher, why is that? And I'll give a little bit of insight. One is having a client like Amy who understands their avatar. Who are the people that they work with? Who are the best clients? And what problems does my firm solve for those clients? And then having the ability to communicate that to the marketing team. So for us to understand that's the information that we need to have to reach what I would call the buyers in pain or the high intent leads, people that want help solving a problem, not just want free information. So the marketing efforts and the strategies you put in place on the internet cater to those buyers in pain. So that's who we're going to have more of. So I'm glad that you've seen that, and it reflects in the revenue, just the ease of more people getting booked that are qualified, right? And then
Yeah, exactly.
less
Yeah.
time spent following up people, so more efficiency. Um, if other attorney asked you whether they should join integrity marketing, if it was worth the investment or worth the time, what would you tell them? What would be your response to them?
Oh, I would definitely recommend it. And I would really come in from the perspective what like similar, what I said. It's about building the asset. It's about a long term. Like I want something that just works without me. Like I want have that longevity going. I don't want to keep having to and then I also want to make educated decision about where my money is going. And even as we were just recently discussing my firm growth, and I just love how you guys are able to pinpoint and tell me what is going to be the highest leverage of the results if I spend money here and there, rather than just tell me, okay, I want you to up another 1,000 on your budget, right? That's very different from the other marketing companies' approach. And so I like that strategy and I am a data and strategy person. And so I feel that if another attorney asks me if that's important to them, they want to be able to be in a CEO position to create strategies for their firm so that it can step out of the daily grunt work of their firm, then that's definitely worth an investment.
I love that. You have an amazing firm, Amy, and I really appreciate your time today. Looking ahead, what's sort of on the horizon for your law firm? What's the next phase of growth for you?
Yeah. So next year, our goal is to grow another 28% and then another 28% to reach to our ultimate goal. And so we're continuously building up to that, and then also having good clients, right? So at this point, I really just want to have a quality law firm practice. I want to work with people that I love and who also love me. And so that's my growth and my targeted focus in terms of avatar. And then so we're working towards that.
I love it. Amy, where can people find you? What's your website address so people can check you out online?
Yeah, so they can go to www.xiaolaw.com. Xiao is my last name, which is spelled as Hsiao, xiaolaw.com.
Very good. Go check out Amy's website, see how she changes the game from the traditional law firm to really be able to focus on solving issues for family, building her brand and growing her law firm at the same time. Thank you for tuning in today to the Marketing Lawcast. We'll catch you next time.
That's a wrap on this edition of the Marketing Lawcast. Thanks for joining us. Head over to imsrocks.com. If you're ready to skyrocket your firm's marketing, don't hesitate to book a free strategy call with our team right on our website. Here's to your success.